It's the Jim Fanning Show. We've come to take your mind.
Am I still on? Primo is in the house. We've had him in before. We're going to start at the beginning and go all the way through. Buckle up and welcome aboard. Ow. That's how you do that. Man, did I mess up the intro when we had Lord Freedom on last week, Mr. Bigger, and everyone came in on time. Except Primo was late today. He must live in Welland or something like that. This is his Twitter handle. Find him on Twitter over here. You can find him on YouTube. Well, he's still got a YouTube channel. 3,000 subs, probably your 8th channel or something like that. Okay. And then we got him on the fake book over here. Links are in the show description. No, we're not taking, well, we might take your questions if you put them in the comments, but usually we got enough to carry the show. No agenda, no scripts, nothing like that. There's him on the Insta. Can I get a gram? And this is him on TikTok. Primo, man, I appreciate the time. I know you got a young family. It's probably like close to bedtime. Unmute your mic if you haven't done that already. Unmute. Where'd you go? Looks like a still picture. Did we lose him? What happened? What up, Primo? Talk to me, Primo. Yo, Rob. Go. What happened? I got a bandwidth. Oh. So last week I completely aborted the intro. It was horrible. Whoa, that's a really close up of me. Settle down, Jimmy. And I tried to get it right, and I was flustered, and I fell apart live. And usually I take my opening very seriously.
It's the Jim Fanning Show.
You know? Well, come on. It's my favorite part of the show. Gets me, and you know, Danny Paquin, God love him. He's like, dude, and another girlfriend, my best friend's widow back home, I won't mention her name, RD, initials. She's like, what's the 2 minutes of bullshit at the beginning? Like, what are you, in high school or something? Basically, it's I'm a radio guy. I do it like the radio show I used to do. It gets me in rhythm. It gets me up to speed, you know? Last week I totally aborted it. And I was gonna tell Rob, this is your hourglass. I poured a fresh ripper. Cuba Libre. I guess Cuba Libre is with the fruit. I don't use the fruit. Fruity enough. But then when he came in late, instead of, talking to him and doing mic checks, he comes in at 1 minute 2 or 7 o'clock right on instead of 5 minutes before, like all my other guests have done over the last few weeks. I don't know. I'm doing the Jim Fanning Show again. I don't really know why. I'm getting decent, interesting people to talk to, but I'm feeling it. I'm also not broadcasting this on the Dominican channels because there's really no Dominican content here. So we're on Twitter live now. We're live on a bunch of channels on YouTube. I got my original YouTube channel back that was making me $1,500 a month there that they took from me in the middle of COVID. They gave that back to me, but they demonetized it right away. And Elon gave me my original Twitter account back. And I remember when I broke 11,000, actually when I broke 10,000 on the first account, I couldn't believe the traction I was getting. It was unbelievable. It was nice to have a popular account because no one ever saw my stuff. But when I hit 10K, I started getting traction. And then they canceled the account. I was gone for 3 years almost. And when I got it back, I had, instead of 11,000 followers, I had 5,600. So it's taken me as long as I've had my account back, which is probably less than a year, to get back to almost 11K and get a little bit more traction. And I just had my first tweet do 1,000 retweets and 1.4 million views. That's okay. So, Primo, how you feeling, man? Do I got you? We got a good connection? Okay. Yeah, you're still on mute. And I have no more alcohol in the house. I only had this one ripper. You know...
Can you hear me?
I got you, man. Perfect.
All right. Sorry about that, everyone. I've been, Jim, I've actually been having some internet problems for some weird reason today. And that's why I ended up joining you late there, a little last minute. Oh, okay. My internet was saying secured, unsecured, secured. And then it was like kicking me off and I don't know what's going on here, but we're here.
Amen, brother.
We are here.
How you feeling, first of all? How's things in Canada? You know, I haven't been there for 2.5 years as of April 22nd.
You know what, man? I'm feeling a lot better than I was.
Good.
I've been spending a lot more time, on myself and with my family and not, totally caught up in just everything and finding like a healthy balance between everything, not just waking up every day and fighting and not enjoying life because it's really easy to get stuck in that vicious cycle of are you contributing anything to actually change what needs to be changed in this world? Question. Are you influencing your children the right way? Are you putting the time in to build parallel communities and make sure you're supporting friends, family, whatnot. So I mean, I've been focusing, a lot more time towards family and friends and those good things.
We know that's important, but we get caught up in, I call it addictions. I definitely have a Twitter addiction, and I know people say it's dopamine or whatever, and maybe I've got a dopamine addiction. I don't know, but I find myself consumed by it. Not when I'm busy, I'm on the road and I'm working, no. But I was uploading a 4K video real estate stuff last night. And I'm like, you know what? I always sleep beside my phone. I know you're not supposed to have the thing beside your head, but it's sitting there charging right beside my head. I listen to podcasts as I go to sleep. But last night, I wanted it close to the router because it was taking a long time. I have to download 4K to YouTube through Studio on the website, not the app. So it goes through 4K. Otherwise, it doesn't come through 4K. So I'm downloading a very long video. And for some reason, it's got to download it from my phone. It should be there already natively. So I bring my phone out here, plug it in, and so it's close to the router. And I go to bed, and I'm like, what am I going to listen to? I don't even have... It used to be a clock radio. I listened to 610 or whatever AM, Larry King or whatever. And so it's the first thing I put in my hand in the morning to see what time it is. And if something grabs me like, oh, somebody said, replied, like I'm done. And then it's a half an hour. I haven't even got out of bed yet. And I'm sitting. And, this idea that I should be in control of my own emotions. I shouldn't let strangers make me angry. And that's all Twitter does for me. And so I say all that to come around to the point. I feel you. It's similar to us having this conversation. I remember I had Jihad in the basement with me. We interviewed Dano O'Shea from My Son the Hurricane. It's a great interview. And I walked Dano out and I come back and I said to Gia, I go, well, why am I doing this again? Like, who cares? Like, did this conversation make a difference for anyone? He goes, well, it made a difference for me, bro. Like, he's my hero, because he was just sitting there as a producer type of thing in the background. And, that's what's important. But, and same on Twitter. As my rage that's been baited and I've swallowed hook, line, and sinker, is it accomplishing anything? Am I changing anyone's mind? No, everyone's minds are fixed. No one's waking up on Twitter one day and go, ooh, he made a good point. I see his point. We're cemented. And I came very fluidly over from the left. I was the Green Party guy. You know that. Like in 1993, I ran in Welland, Niagara Center. On the condition I didn't have to do anything, and took one debate and went to introduce myself, and my vocal cords were so straight, pulled so tight, I didn't have a voice. That never happened to me before. I didn't know when you're that nervous that your voice disappeared. So I hear you, man, and it's a tough balance. I don't have the family, and I know that should be an anchor for a guy like you. I know you're not much of a drinker, and think we've all had our days in that, but I know you've got a good, solid relationship with your woman, and fuck. I mean, none of us could do. I mean, I've been single for a long time, but I know what it's like to be in a secure, loving relationship and have that be your rock when you come home, because we're taking it all day. Even if you're putting yourself out on Twitter, as your accounts get bigger, you get a target. And everyone that says, I don't care what they say or what they think about me is a liar, because we all do. It all hurts a little bit when they call you names. But I'm calling them right back, you know what I mean? So it's a delicate balance. So I like how you're managing it. I like how you're defining what is important in your life. And what's important when I have guys like you on is, like, where did you come from? What's your background? Was there religion? You obviously had a strong father figure in your life, if it wasn't a father in the home for the whole time. And we may have talked about this before, but I think it's really important. And so many guys do shows like this, and we still never know who they are. We know who they are today, but I want you just to take a little bit of time, take as long as you want. I'll put you on full screen. Talk to me about your upbringing, your nationality. Are you Italian?
I'm Italian.
Wow, you don't give me the WAP vibes. I grew up with my boys. All my best friends are Italian Catholics from St. Catherine's. After I went to Carleton Public School, I went to Canadian Martyrs and then St. Alfred, and all my boys were Italian. So that's the only culture I had in St. Catherine's until I got to high school, and then my best friend was Colombian. I'm like, what's this? Culture? What?
Yeah. I mean, I never spoke Italian or had the no and nona. It wasn't I was half Italian, half German. Uh-oh, he's got some German in him. Better not tell the anti-hate network that, Jim, life was good. I grew up living with my mom, and I would go and see my father, Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then sleep there, every other weekend. So yeah, typical, separated family, but my parents didn't get along. That's one thing that if we're gonna have this big interview, let's do it. One thing that I learned from my parents is that I constantly heard one parent say something about the other parent, and then the other parent would get defensive and say something about the other parent, and then constantly my whole life I would have to hear about issues that happened in their lives, and that really affects a child. So as shitty as that situation is growing up, I'm really happy it happened, because it taught me to respect my daughter's mother, who I'm not with. Even though we went through the ringer together, I was able to put a lot of things that people wouldn't typically forgive someone for. I was able to forgive her, and we get along a lot better as friends and co-parenting, and we're able to, show our child that, we're not together, but we can laugh in the same room together. Whenever I have a birthday for my daughter, I invite her and her husband, and we communicate really well, and we get along well, but that wasn't easily done by, that took a lot of work to get to that point. But I'm happy that we were able to get there, because I realize, how toxic it is for a child to be exposed to two parents who just pretty much hate each other.
Well, I was pretty lucky in that department. I remember my parents split. I guess I was in grade, I don't know, probably 7 or 8. I was at St. Alfred's, because I remember Bertrand saying, this kid's, he's got problems. I wasn't a bad kid, but I was pretty hyper, and I'm a big kid. Always been, always looked way older than I was, and people tend to say act your age. I remember the first time they said act your age and not your shoe size. And for a couple of years, I was like, I am size 11, size 12, and they're like, But in those. That was a kind of a dark period, certainly for my parents, and then a different period for Billy and I as, 12, 13, 14 years old, having the parents split. But I remember hearing my mother gossip to one of the neighbors or one of her friends going, oh, well, Jimmy stepped up like the husband. Like he's cutting the grass, and he's taking the garbage out, and he's doing all the shit Jim used to do when he was here. And nobody actually had to tell him anything. And I remember overhearing it going, wow, my God, I'd never heard a compliment like that before, you know what I mean? So it taught me some things too, and ultimately my parents got back together and didn't live happily ever after, but were married 23 years and whatnot. So, and so many broken families or whatever, it's good to see, and we see the hate where, and that's one thing my mother would never do. She would, like, no matter what was going on with father, she wouldn't trash our father to us, you know what I mean? And vice versa. So yeah, it's a tough road, and I think we're seeing a lot more these days, and this is kind of my motivation. And you talk about, how that affected you, how that landed and impacted the rest of your life. The fact that you were from a broken home or a dysfunctional family, whatever you want to, hashtag it. Yep. And how you made that important to you. It's kind of like growing up as an alcoholic's, the son of an alcoholic or something. Like, I'm not going to touch that shit. I'm not going to put my kid through that kind of garbage. So good for you, man. So how about religion? I know you've got some sort of faith in your life now. Was that always a cornerstone? Like, I grew up Catholic. I didn't take my religion seriously. I, in fact, hated my religion because it was just so boring and so long. And now I go to Mass. I'm like, holy shit, that was pretty quick. I remember it being 4 hours long, 45 minutes. What the hell? We're already taking communion. As soon as they used to ring the bells, I'm like, oh, thank you, God. That's the only time I would pray is when they rang the bells, take communion, get out of there. So tell me about the early days. Was faith a background for you, or?
It was when I was a child. So I went to Catholic elementary school, Catholic church, went through, communion, everything you got to do. I don't know what they're all called offhand right now, but I did that. And my grandmother, like my dad's mother, was very religious. Like, I'm talking very, like, she bought her house across the street from the church she went to. That's how religious she was. So every Sunday our family would go to her house and go to church, and it was a big part of our lives. But when she died, I realized that the only reason we were going there was to keep my grandmother happy. Like, literally, grandma dies, and it's like, we're not going to church anymore. Which, whatever. That's, so I realized that we weren't actually going to church because we were religious or had faith.
No.
It was more of that's what my dad's mom wanted to see, so they were clearly going just to please her.
Mm-hmm. I think we did the same thing.
So there was a while there where I didn't go at all, and I actually think I kind of rebelled, and actually kind of became, I don't know, I don't want to say I was like against God, but when people start to just find a reason to blame something, it was like, oh, this person died of cancer, there can't be a God. so and so lost their child. There can't be a God, you know. So I kind of got myself in that state of mind, which is, you know, not a healthy way to be at all. And you know, now that I'm at the age I'm at, I realize that there, you know, I definitely have faith. Um, I, I'm still not like I feel like I'm, you know, getting to where I want to be in my faith, you know, like slowly but surely. Like, I don't think, you know, my personal belief is you don't need to, you know, go on a race to get there. I try and aspire to be like, you know, the best person I can day to day, you know, whether it's the smallest things like giving someone a compliment or holding a door open, you know, because it's so easy to just be mad at people and hate people with what's going on right now. Like, it is incredible how divided they have got us to be. I don't want to go too off topic, but I'll give you a quick example. Today I was on YouTube and I was watching a music video and I realized that Dax, who is like a hip hop artist, I'm not sure if you're familiar with him. He's I believe he's Canadian, and he's very freedom and you know, pro-choice and whatever, and that's all he raps and sings about. And I realized that him and Eminem just did a song together, and I started like getting mad. I'm like, why would he do a song with Eminem when Eminem, you know, said everything he did about like Trump in all of this kind of stuff? And then I like took a minute and thought to myself, and I'm like, you're using politics over everything. Like, why couldn't this rapper and this rapper get together and do a song, even though they have completely different political beliefs? You know, they've got us like that. Like, I don't want you singing with that person if they think that way, and I don't want you making a video with that person if they don't believe what you do. And I don't know how the hell we snap out of it, but like, we got to find a way to start talking about it. And you know, I think it's working. I really do. Like, to be a little positive, you know, I feel like people are slowly coming back together. And
I think you're right.
You know,
man.
if you,
I hope you're right, because, you know, sorry to interrupt, but I saw Ashley St. Clair. I try to get to all the interviews I can. And if you're popular and you're semi-decent, good looking, kind of like yourself, semi-decent, maybe, you know, I don't know what's less than semi-decent. But she was with Harry Sisson, and Harry Sisson is a huge account, and he's a paid troll. He's like the Cranston brothers, right? I fucking loathe them. But that's what they're designed and paid to get me to loathe them, to expose me for my hateful self, because I am hateful. Like, I am one of the few people that will acknowledge my hate is strong. And so is my rage, and it's unnecessary, and it only really affects me. Anyway, she's doing a selfie with the other liberal girl that's got the mile-high forehead, and she always dresses really strange and says the weirdest libtard things. I swear she's like a parody and just not telling anyone. And I've come around on who's the girl in Toronto there that was really had unkind things to say about the convoy? Did she get the red glasses? The Asian
Rachel
girl.
Gilmore?
No,
no.
Cheyenne, what? The lawyer, the cartoonist.
Oh, Karima.
I've come around. I followed her the other day, and I was talking to Bigger, and I'm going like, where are you with this girl? Because she's dry as shit. Like, her humor it's almost unnoticeable. You know what I mean? Because she's so dry. But I've gotten to get to a point where I can appreciate she's good at what she does, and just because I don't like her take on a certain thing, vaccines or COVID or the Freedom Convoy, just because she was trashing my boys that were really standing up for a cause, doesn't mean I need to hate her forever. I hate Joey Logano because he laughs in the broadcast booth, and as a broadcaster, I'm like, tell the guy to stop laughing. Xfinity racing is not that funny. You don't have to laugh at the whole thing. Right. And what a stupid reason to like hate a guy. He's a great driver. I'm sure he's a great guy, but I just can't stand the way you broadcast. And then, so I see Ashley. She's just doing a selfie with these two liberals, in front of the Tesla vehicle at some event, and the right goes crazy. They're like, how could you? How could you? And finally, like she did a little video. She's like, these two liberals came up to me and assaulted me. And she goes and she swings and she puts them in the background, standing beside the Tesla. And Harry Sisson goes, Trump sucks. And I finally saw Harry Sisson as I don't know if I'm saying his name right, but as a human being that was funny and cheeky. And yeah, all these times I've seen, I have to mute. I don't block anyone. I just mute. And I'm like, I thought it was cute. I thought it was adorable. And for the first time, I saw this guy, he's probably not even 25 years old. He looks like he's 15. And anytime I look at his stuff, I just rage. I have to mute it. And then for the first time, I'm like, huh. That guy's pretty cool. I don't care if he's been trolling me for 2 years with making me rage. And same with, say her name again. I don't know why I can't remember. Karima. All right. I'll get her.
You know, Karima, we could touch on that for a minute. Karima's really, I find her to be an interesting person. And, I've always, it's no secret when Chris Sky was running around and doing what he was doing. I mean, she was like the biggest voice against him, right? And definitely, or I guess I don't even know if it's fair for me to say against him. Just we didn't like the coverage. Like I didn't like the coverage she was giving, and and then she started to, watch basically all the people that were coming to these protests and were putting themselves out there, and she was kind of, I found her coverage to definitely not be in favor of what we were trying to advocate for. But I realized I respected her because one time we were at this rally in London, Ontario, and it was definitely the biggest thing I ever spoke at. There was thousands and thousands of people there, and she took a picture of me and was like, Rob Primo just gave a speech, yada yada yada. And the picture she had taken, my kids were in it. And I've always kept my kids and this protest stuff apart. And not only because I can't control the way people are going to act in front of them, but, some of these events were good for, like, I've seen that we're like, oh, this is great for kids. Then there's other events where, I would have took my kids and ran away and never let them see what's going on. But I messaged her and I said, I snapped and I was like, dude, like, you're a lawyer. You just put a picture of my kids on the internet. Like, are you flipping kidding me? Like, you better take that shit down. And she messaged me back right away. And the post was like taking off. And she did take it down and she apologized. And she's like, I'm honestly really sorry. I didn't realize that your kids were in the background. And I totally respect that you don't want your children on the internet when people, are targeting you and what have you. And she said, thanks, for reaching out. And she took it right down. So I've always respected her since then. But I think the big thing that did it for me, where I realized that she has like a lot more integrity than pretty much any journalist in Canada right now. I mean, she doesn't want, I think I know what her views are, but she doesn't want people to know that. And it's because I think she realizes how important it is to have real journalists right now going through what we are going through, because politics don't mean very much right now because the right, the left, the center, everything's so intermingled that we need to see through it all together, and we need to realize that, we all have the same enemies right now, the people who are pulling the strings against all of us. And I think we're going through a very interesting time right now where we're seeing it happen in real time. I remember when Jeremy McKenzie went to jail. I'll never forget that Deanna Sharif girl. I'm sure you're aware with who she is. She started messaging me and she was saying things like, I hope your buddy's having fun in jail right now.
Jesus.
And,
Wow.
you know, I'm sure he's getting bent over from behind right now by a bunch of dudes. And I hope he deserves it. And like terrible, terrible things.
Mm-hmm.
And I messaged her back and I said to her, you know, you're going to see what happens when this comes full circle. And she's like, what are you talking about? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm telling you, there will be a day where there's a cause that you care about and they do this to you or your people. And I said, you watch what happens. I said, and I tried to explain to her so maybe she could be a little bit compassionate or have some type of empathy. And I said, let's say Black Lives Matter was having a protest, or let's say the LGBTQ plus S, whatever you want to call them, are having a protest, and someone comes around, scoops these people up and throws them in jail without bail, you'd be pretty pissed off. Oh, well, no, they were blocking a road and blah. No, you need to realize that a lot of things were said that weren't true. Now we're sitting here and we've done a complete circle. And literally the woman I'm talking about is sitting in jail right now and she is being denied bail. And as mad as I am and as much as I loathe that woman, it's not right either. You know what I mean? And it kills me to say that. And I'm happy she is where she is right now because she's going to learn a lesson. And I think all of these people need to learn the lesson that we all just learned. You know, everything was broken apart. And before you can bring it back together, everyone's got to realize what's going on. So, you know, I hope she's doing a lot of thinking while she's in there right now. And, I know there's a publication ban, so, you know, I don't know what exactly happened. Maybe she does maybe something really bad did happen. I don't know. I don't think any of us know, right?
No.
But the way I've seen that
think
woman,
we're all thinking that what is it possibly? She hasn't killed anyone.
right?
What could possibly make her a threat for bail? You know?
The thing. And the thing, Jim, that I think about, and the reason that I say it's not fair is because I think about during, you know, the pandemic, about a gentleman why am I calling this guy a gentleman? A guy in Niagara who, I don't want to get your YouTube acts here, who did things bad to kids and was put in jail and was released after he did bad things to kids, and then he reoffended the day he was released. So, you know, we're letting people who are convicted of doing bad things to kids in jail, out of jail. They're doing it again and being repeat offenders. But, you know, this person just is a terrible human being. But, you know, I haven't seen them done much more than assault people physically and verbally, you know, personally. So, you know, one has to wonder, did she finally cross the line and do something bad? Or are these all trumped up charges like we've seen happen with Jeremy McKenzie?
I played euchre the other day. You can't say trumped up.
Yeah.
Bro, before we get back to the old school, I want to know, quite literally, what you're doing to live up to your misogynistic reputation. What are you doing to keep your wife at home in the kitchen where she belongs, taking care of the kids, so she doesn't have to work another job, so you don't have to take your kids to daycare, so you can have a good life and a good family with a family that is brought up by their parents? How are you managing that, and how are you keeping the wife at home, if you are?
Well,
Got to be tough now in Canada, man. You need both incomes, you know?
Yeah, she belongs in the kitchen, so she knows her place. And she better never fucking leave there because she should be making sandwiches with mustard on them.
And the house is a happy home when mom's cooking. Everyone
That's right.
knows that, man.
That's right.
The first thing I said when I came through the door after school, I was a hungry little boy growing really fast. Mom, what's for dinner and what can I eat now?
Yeah, right. I mean, it's crazy when you see everything going on and you realize, like, hey, that's the best way to live life is having a woman at home taking care of the family, and you know, out there working hard, right? Like that's
supported to do what you're meant to do, which is go out and win the bread and protect the family.
Exactly, right.
So how you managing that? How's it working?
I mean, she's great. We get along great, and I'm lucky I found her because there's not too many women who could put up with my shit, but she can. But it's reciprocal,
and personalities
right?
are hard to manage for sure. But what you put yourself into, and the line of fire that you put yourself and your family into because of your beliefs. You probably weren't asking permission all the time. I'm sure there were some things like, honey, what do you think about this? But for the most part, you're your own man, and she's been there 100% all the way along. So that means something.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I got lucky because her values lined with mine pretty perfect. So, I mean, like, everything that was bothering me was also bothering her, right? So, I mean, when it comes to the school thing, they're trying to coerce kids into getting the jibby jabby, and she's not down with that, and I wasn't down with that, and they're trying to tell my kid, like, literally our kids are the only kids at the school who didn't wear masks, and those teachers and principals knew I was a force to reckon with. Like, they knew that if they tried to put a mask on my kid, that I would have been on their front lawn protesting and using my entire following to come help me. And some people think that's crossing the line, but I think it's crossing the line that you think you have the right to put something over my child's beautiful face and dictate to them that when they can take it off and when they can't take it off. To me, that's absolutely insane. And to other people, it's absolutely insane that I would show up on their front lawn. But I'll just keep showing up on their front lawn, and then they're not going to be doing that to my kid. So that's the way I'm going to deal with it.
It's
amazing.
amazing.
The way I've always dealt with it.
It's amazing what can get done by doing what Bigger did the last time and just walking in and going, you know what, this is wrong. Shut this down. You just need a couple strong men to stand straight and say, this is, you don't need slurs or violence or any hate speech. Hate speech. There is no hate speech. I can't even believe I said that. You don't need to be confrontational. You just need to walk in and go, you know what, this ain't happening here. This is my kid's school, and that pedophile, is it so bad that we notice patterns? Like, the people that want to talk to our kids about sex are disproportionately mental.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's Marxist 101, right? They want to provoke and get a reaction from you. So, the biggest, Shandor used to say it best. I mean, the biggest thing is to, when you're being demoralized, to fight back with morals. And that's true, right? Like, I mean, it's not always easy to do that. And I haven't been perfect at that at all. There's been many times where I'm swearing and screaming and shouting and all that. But that's one thing that I've learned, over my time kind of speaking out against all this stuff, is that you're not going to fight fire with fire. And, you can't douse a fire in gas. It's just going to heat back up. And I mean, we're all guilty of it time to time. But I mean, if you really want to make change, we got to find a better way to do it. And I think what you were just saying about Josh, like, I texted him after he went to that, and I said, man, I'm honestly so proud of you. Like, that was one of the best things that I've ever seen. You guys did it right. And my buddy Ray Andrews was there and helped him out. And you know what, man? We'll talk about it off air, but my buddy Ray would be a really good person for you to interview about this kind of stuff one time, because he comes out and he's a very loud voice around here as well. and he was molested by a parent his whole life. And when you talk to someone like that and you see them come out and you realize why they're there, and obviously he's open with his story, or I wouldn't have just shared that. You know, to see him, he used to go to these things, and you've probably seen in videos, there was one where he was screaming and got all in a cop's face and bumped the cop over, and then they put him on the front of the newspaper and stuff like that. But now I used to always say to him, bro, you're like a really important voice, and you tell your story, and like people need to hear it. But if you're going to come out there and start screaming at cops, and we know you're a tough guy and we know what you can do, but if you get mad and bump their head and whatever, well, that's the story. The story isn't about the child who was molested and is out there fighting for kids. It's about a crazy unhinged guy who assaulted a cop, because that's what they do. They want to see that. So don't give them what they want to see, right?
Great point. I mean, I remember taking the mic April 10th. I'm not a protest guy. I've never been to one. I don't like them. I don't want to be seen in one, especially in one. Hell, I don't want to be the one leading it. I'm just not that guy. I'll introduce them from the podium, act as an MC and stuff like that, but I'm not that guy. And man, when they shut St. Catharines down April 10th, I didn't know. I was preparing for 40 people. I said to Alicia, who, off the record, just between you and me, I know this is live, but might give me her story now that she's got something to tell. And like, if we can forgive Michelle Brown, we can get over anyone. And you could probably tell that story sometime too at the pizza joint. Robert? Yes.
I'll tell it right now. Yeah, yes. I don't really care anymore.
Yeah.
Want me to tell it?
Yeah, tell it, because I lost my train of thought, which is perfect. Perfect timing.
Yeah, well, I mean, so Michelle, let's go over it. She somehow ended up being a bylaw officer in Niagara. And the police were, I don't even know how to describe what the police were doing during this time. It was so dirty. Like, they didn't want to lay a charge on people because they knew it was wrong. They knew it was against their oath they took. And they knew at some point this was all going to turn around and they could be held accountable. So what they were doing is the police were getting bylaw officers to charge us, Jim included. Jim got charged. But what they were doing is, they were taking open source media, like what we're doing right now was literally in my disclosure. Thanks a lot, Jim. No, I'm just kidding. We were all doing the same thing. We were all videoing it and putting it out there, and we needed to do that at that time. We needed to empower people. But yeah, it was so silly. Like, when she came and charged me, I remember I was talking to the police that day, and I said, like, am I doing anything wrong? We have the videos of it. Am I not supposed to be here? Like, I was smart enough. I knew what was going to happen, that I wanted the cop to tell me on camera, no, you have a right to do this. You're blah, 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 blah. I figured if I can do that and get it on camera and they charge me, well, then I'll use that in court. Right. So anyways, I ended up getting charged with, 8 provincial charges, which could have been $800,000 in charges, according to their little rules, and potentially 8 years in jail. So, obviously that was, I'm not going to pretend like that wasn't something that stressed me out. I'm not going to pretend that, a bunch of people acting like tyrants didn't actually get me worried that, oh, maybe they will follow through and do this. I'm not going to pretend that I wasn't worried about that. But yeah, so one day, I go to Rose City. Actually, let's back it up. I took my kids to Sky Zone. And this is where we're going to talk. I'm going to bring this up because this comes into faith and the God thing. I brought my kids to Sky Zone, and after they wanted to go to Boston Pizza. And this was right when everything was closed down and I wasn't going to businesses and I wouldn't support businesses who wouldn't let me in. And my kid looks at me and goes, can we go to Boston Pizza? And man, she's been through so much. All these kids have been through so much. I did not want to go there. I did not want to support those people. I was still like that. And I thought, what kind of parent am I if my kid really wants to go somewhere and I'm letting my problem take away from where she wants to eat? So sure enough, I'm talking to Jess and we're going back and forth over it. And I go, screw it. Let's go in there. Sure enough, we go in there right away. They're like throwing masks at us. Everybody's got to put masks on. And I'm like, look, I don't wear a mask and I'm eating here. We're eating here. My family's eating here. This girl starts screaming and shouting and yelling, and the managers are coming. And I'm like, we're going in, and I'm just sitting down. And, and then I realize at this point that it's like impacting the kids. Like the kids aren't having a good experience. And, there's no way in hell I'm putting that mask on. So I'm like, you know what? Let's go, kids. We're going to have fun somewhere else. We're going to do something better. And I'm mad. So I feel like this all happened for a reason. We're at Sky Zone, no masks, everyone good time bouncing, go to Boston Pizza. For some reason, they won't let us go there. So then I go, why don't we order a pizza from Rose City Pizza in Welland? So somehow, some way, I got guided there, right? And I go there and I see this lady who's completely changed her figure. I can't even recognize her. Different color hair, different glasses, different everything. It's almost like someone grew such a big following that everyone in Niagara knew who they were and they didn't want to be seen anymore. And what happened is that I came up there and she goes, Robert? And nobody calls me Robert, like that's Rob, Primo, whatever. I have never been called Robert. And, that's my name on my license if you wrote a fine.
Right.
So I go, yeah. And she goes, can I talk to you for a minute? And I didn't even recognize it. I go, well, who is it? She goes, it's Michelle Brown. And I'm thinking in my head, this better be fucking good.
I wish the story had gone. She pulled up her top and said, "It's Michelle Brown." Do you recognize me now?
Well, I heard some people are cleaning houses like that and stuff, but I didn't get exposed to that side of her. But yeah, so she basically said to me, whatever you do, don't plea into your charges because I'm not going to be showing up to, your court case.
As the sole witness.
And, at that point, obviously, I let you know and others know that she told me that to make sure nobody was going to plead guilty. Nobody was planning on pleading guilty anyways, so I don't want to take that integrity away from any of you guys or my friends. We were always going to go the distance.
I still got to deal with mine when I come back to Canada.
Oh, really?
I got bench warrants because I missed my dates. I went to a bunch of dates and then I had company and business and I just bailed. And so they convicted me in my absence. So we have a mutual friend that's in Mexico. And when he came back, he said, Jimmy, and he wanted to ask a whole bunch of questions. And he was sending me his disclosure with my stuff in it because I never got my disclosure. For whatever reason, they would not give me disclosure. And, or maybe they did in the end. I had that cheap guy that was working for free. He wanted me to take a plea because they knocked $50 off my $1,500 fines or something like that. And they were going to drop the other one or something. I had to plead guilty to something. I'm like, yeah. You must be high. And obviously his friend was the Crown attorney. You know what I mean?
Jim, I mean, you're the first person that ever gave me a voice on an actual podcast. So, I'll say things on here I've never told anybody before just because you deserve it. But I mean, I got Rebel to, do Fight the Fines, and people have been dying to try and get me to talk about this for a long time. So, if you want to screen cap something out of this conversation, this is a good one. That a lot of people don't
all this
know,
time. We're almost an hour in. Now you're going to finally say something interesting. Way to go, Primo. Thanks for nothing.
I mean, Rebel wanted me to do a guilty plea. Same thing. And, I'm the one that said, no, I'm not going to do that. And another friend who shall remain unnamed, I know you know who I'm talking about, but I'm not going to just throw them under the bus. They were put through a lot. And I don't blame them for doing what they did, but they made that person take a guilty plea as well. And I kept telling them, guys, I talked to this Michelle lady who laid the charge, and they told me, or she told me she's not even going. And they're like, no, trust me, this guilty plea, like, all you have to do is pay $12,000 in fines. You're going to have no criminal record, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. Literally, if they're going to put me in jail for this, I'm going to jail, because that's not where I want to be, obviously, but I did nothing wrong at all. So if I need to be the example to show how corrupt our country's really become, so be it. And it was a constant battle back and forth between me and the lawyer over me not wanting to take the right course of action. And, it ended up working out for me. And they even switched off lawyers, because the one lawyer they had on the case wasn't happy that I wanted to push through. And, it was called fight the fines, not settle for the punishment. Like, what's going on? So, I mean, I don't know, man. There was a lot of money that got brought into those fight the fines. A lot, I mean, I know they did that interview with me, and there's somebody else that, I definitely won't say their name either, but used to work for Rebel. And they said to me, you don't even understand what kind of money was coming in when, people were sticking up. And I'm not even trying to just shit on them right now. I mean, they're very needed in this country, and I'm not going to lie, they do a lot of good work, and a lot of things wouldn't have gotten put out there. But there's something smells fishy about everything that happened there. It was like, everybody go out, get charged, we'll be there for you.
And then we're going to help you plead.
And then we'll help you, and we want you to settle, which will set a precedent.
No.
And
fuck no. Oh, fuck, we lost him. We lost your mic. Yeah.
I don't know what happened there. Sorry about that.
You're good. All right.
Did you just lose me for the last couple seconds?
No, yeah, just for a couple seconds.
I was just trying to say that you might have missed at the end. I said there's nothing I can prove, but I've got some suspicions. It's really weird how, it's what I feel like what happened to me is like they knew at the beginning that nothing was going to happen, and that they took the case just enough to keep, which didn't work, but try and keep me controlled until everything was over. And it was like, we just want to keep you scared so you don't, go protest on people's front lawns and stuff like that, because then, you'll be getting a whole bunch of charges to add to that, and you'll be going away for good. That's the way I felt.
You know what I'm still getting used to? It's been dark here for an hour. You still have sunlight.
Yeah.
This thing, man. But I still take this weather any day. You need to get out of Canada, bro.
Yeah.
Fuck, I don't know how you guys are doing it up there anymore, but I was, I guess, lucky, because on that tweet that hit almost 1.5 million views, and I don't even consider that viral, but for me, it's viral. Like, I have a small account. There's 10,000. Well, actually, 10,000 is pretty significant for a nobody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Being canceled for 3 years and shit like that. But when that tweet caught fire, I really got. I used to look at Ezra Levant and cringe, but I was on the left then. I hated Stephen Harper, and he was a conservative, and I was ideologically opposed to him. And then as I came over to the center right, I'm like, well, fuck, this guy doesn't make me cringe anymore. I can't believe I'm able to tolerate a guy I used to hate. Wow. One thing is he is a fucking hell of a businessman. Like, wow. You want to watch a guy fundraise? Dude, put Ezra Levant on that job, man. Like, holy shit. That guy knows
that guy isn't. You're right. He's a huge businessman, and he's freaking loaded. You can't knock his business and his business deals, that's for sure. I see the way he treats some people, and I wish he could walk certain things back, because I think it would make other people walk certain things back too. Everybody slips up. Everybody makes a mistake. But, when he called Jeremy a Fed, and everything that guy's been through, I've seen him be through. I've been through beside him, talking to his friends, his circle of friends, trying to help fundraise, knowing he's in jail, watching people pick him up from there on video. You know what I mean? Like, just everything the guy has been through, to say something like that and misspeak. It's like you're punching down when you have that much of an influence and that much money, and you're just gonna start saying that about a veteran who, it was
a decorated veteran too.
Yeah, it was fucked up.
It's like Joe Biggs down in the States, bro. And just sorry to interrupt, but this is how the Jim Fanning show goes. You know how it goes.
Yeah,
they used to call me praise master back at home because all my boys were in bands, and they didn't know how much their music meant to me when their disc stayed in my deck for 6 months. Like, it became the soundtrack of my life. Like Aaron Berger's Color and Light, like Matthew James Blake, all friends of yours, you know what I mean? And you are good to give me props for having you on. And I've got an eye for talent. I know who I want to spend time with and who I'd like to get to know a little bit better. Jeremy's another one of the guys. A guy like Nick Fuentes, which is canceled from everything. A Gavin McInnes, like Owen Benjamin. You know what I mean? We haven't talked hardly politics at all today. There's been very much personal conversation about our life and how we feel. We're not taking on the subjects of the day. We're touching the corners of them. But this is all about you. You know what I mean? So as I sit here and as you give me props for giving you the first mic, and like I said, I've got an eye for talent, like Ashley St. Clair. She had 25,000 followers when I picked her up when we did an interview. I might have done 2 with Ashley. And now she's close to 1 million. Like, she's a force, and gone through a whole transition, got married and had a baby. And she might be a single mom now, I'm not sure. But wow, is she getting a lot of static. But I caught her on the way up, good-looking girl, conservative views, Trump supporter. 8 years ago, she was an interesting, or maybe 5 years ago or whatever. But, this makes our conversation, and you touched on Jeremy, and I'm working a back channel with him right now. I'd love to have just like a conversation like this, which I don't think exists enough. We've all gone on our shows and go, Biden and blah, blah, Trudeau and blah. And, that's where I was going, the protest thing. So I go to Welland. The first time I've ever got a glimpse of Trudeau. Now, I've had friends that knew Trudeau and hung out with him before he was political and said the kid is dumb as stones. Like, he can't even carry on small talk at a bar. He's so stupid. Now, I will give him, he knew how to pick the right people. He's got great people around him that knew how to get him elected, like leader and elected and stay in power. And his people are unbelievable. And he's become a pretty average actor. You know what I mean? Like now he's got all the scripts. If you cornered him, now he doesn't appear like a dumb fuck, even though he is, because he's got all these scripts that he's been drilled into his head for a long time. But so, I go to this protest and I see one of my dad's buddies there. And dude, like, I'm there shamefully, okay? I don't want to be photographed. If the news comes up to me, and you know me, like, give me a microphone, I want to talk to the news all the time. And I think I talked to one of the organizers at that time. I can't believe I was mature enough in my walk to come up and go, CHCH is here. There's their truck. They're not going to shoot you if you're yelling, fuck Trudeau. You will not get a clip on. But if you say something that doesn't say fuck Trudeau, you have a chance of getting your protest chant on. But as long as they're swearing, you're done. You're cooked. And that guy was a pretty good guy, and he said, good call, Jimmy. You know what I mean? And then he went to Atlas Steel. They psyched everyone out. We're all in the wrong place. And I'm like, I ended up with, who'd I end up with? Kreitz? I think I ended up in the back of Kreitz's truck with his daughter, Hunter. Is that her name? You know Kreitz?
Frank?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know Frank, yeah.
Yeah, is that his name? His daughter's name, Hunter or something like that? She was, anyways, young.
I know who you mean, the girl who sings, right?
No, the daughter, the young girl. Anyways, I end up in the back of his because I don't have a vehicle. I had walked all the way and whatever. I was getting some, some video and stuff like that. Yeah. And like I said, I don't go to protests. And that brought me out. And I remember going, I won't say his name, but I'm like, what the hell are you doing here? He goes, fuck that. And he's got a flag.
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't be caught dead waving a flag or marching or whatever. I'm not even here, But turned out, every time I see that clip of him speaking at the old Atlas Steels there, I can't remember what they call it now, and how the boss waited for everyone to leave, and I hung out.
Yep.
I had nothing better to do, I guess. I hung out, and he duped everyone by sneaking out after everyone left so they could, and they're like, oh, there he goes, and they're all like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, that was a
fucking
crazy day. Like, I came home from there when I finally ended up leaving, and I don't even know what was going on. Like, the RCMP were at my house in my backyard, just like taking pictures of shit. I ended up finding down, like, there's a field behind my house, and behind the field, like at the end of the field, there's a big pole that stands up, and there was like a camera on it back then. Like, I can't, once again, I don't know if that's why it was there. I know somehow, some way it got taken down. I'm not sure, but yeah, like it was crazy. Like to see that happen, all just for people voicing their opinion. I was mad that day. I was screaming, I was yelling, I was swearing, and I have zero regrets.
That was going to be my next question.
What's that?
That was going to be my next question. If you could do something over, if you could do a mulligan on something, is there something you regret or you're ashamed of or you would have done differently if you know what you know now? I know that's an unfair question, but...
there's one thing that... is really, I don't know how to explain it because it's a parenting issue, but one day I had a kid come up to me and, Rob, Primo, can I take a picture with you? Blah, 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 whatever. I go, yeah, sure, kid, or whatever. And his dad came up after and he goes, man, my son like listens to your stuff every single day. Like, he just absolutely loves you. He goes, he's got a picture, some picture on the wall with you at the convoy giving a speech or something, and he's going on about how much his kid likes me and how much of an influence I am to his kid. And it really messed me up because I was like, man, there's a lot of times where I go on the computer and just go off,
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if I have regrets, but I always think about the way I'm acting or the message I've put out there in the past. I'm like, shit, the way the internet is these days, there's actually 10-year-old kids who are watching what I'm saying and watching what I'm doing, right? So that's something that always took me back a little bit. But at the same time, like, why are my kids don't have access to go and see this kind of stuff, but so.
Some do.
Yeah.
Talk to me about, and I see you getting emotional as you're talking about the influence of a kid. I think about Jordan Peterson every time somebody comes up to him, and every time he tells the story. And after his benzo dependency, you can't call it an addiction, but the closest thing you can get technically without being like the benzos are supposed to be, like, it near killed him. And I always said that, he was always playing around with God and Christianity and religions and faith and stuff like that. And I knew on the other side, if he lived through that he would come back a new man. And every time he talks about Christ or God or the Bible, he fills up with tears. Every time he talks about somebody that comes up to him, a young man usually saying, hey, here's my father. Yeah. We haven't spoken in 15 years. I watched your videos. And I've taken the Jordan Peterson psychology course 3 times. If he did a psychological lecture, I watched it multiple times. Not because I was trying to gain wisdom, but I was fascinated about how he approached the human mind. So I see you getting emotional when you talk about the influence of somebody like that and then the responsibility that carries. So in that vein, what do you think? We've gone through a lot, man. And maybe it's a personal story, maybe you don't want to talk about it, but your low point in all of this, because we're on the other side of it now. There's sunny days coming, it seems like, and I can say that because I'm down here, you know, and many people have called me a coward for leaving my country. I just made a split decision. When they say I couldn't leave and I didn't know how long I would be trapped in my country, literally, I'm like, fuck, how do I get out? And can I make this work? And I had a girlfriend of mine that's going, I'm down, not a girlfriend, you know what I mean, a girlfriend of mine, say, get out and I'll help you. I'm not looking to adopt a son, but I will. Yeah. And when she really committed, when I knew she was serious, I booked my flight and I never looked back. I never wanted to leave Canada.
Yeah.
So I've been there, and for me, it occurs for me that losing my YouTube channel when it was my sole income at $1,500 a month, like shit, you know what I mean? That crushed me because all my mom's funeral videos are on there. I had 1,000 like personal videos that are 10 years old, and thank God I got it back. But it destroyed me, you know. Similarly to when Walter Sendzik beat Jeff Birch for mayor, I ran in that election to make sure that Walter didn't win, and we were kind of like colleagues at some level, if I can flatter myself. You know, we ran in the same circles. We're, you know, business, you know, he's Chamber of Commerce and shit, and always had differences with the guy. And when he won, I've never lost an election that hurt that bad. So can you pinpoint one point in all of this where you were just, fuck this noise? Like your low point?
Oh, man. That's a great question. I think it was, you know, one of the hardest decisions that I had. I don't know if I have a low point, but one thing where, like, you know, when you were talking about regrets and do you have any regrets, and is, you know, right after the convoy happened, and then, you know, everybody was going to this, the bike thing, Rolling Thunder or whatever.
Right.
I caught myself getting to the point where I was just driving you know, you're driving to Ottawa 8 hours or whatever because you're so mad.
You're losing your glasses out the window.
Yeah. And I mean, I get to this event and then it's like, oh, there's going to be another thing in Ottawa. And then I decided that one of the hardest things for me to do was drop my ego and realize that it didn't make much of a difference if I went or not to that thing after the bike thing. You know, like I really felt like I was a part of something, but the whole point of being a part of something was to get everybody else to stand up. It wasn't because I wanted to become some celebrity or wanted to become some professional face protest guy. You know what I mean? That was never what I wanted to do. Somehow people just started to know who I was, and these channels just took off. I never wanted that to happen. And that's the difference between me and some other people, right?
If I
you know,
could
like
just
a lot
interrupt,
of people.
You're talking to one of those people right here. He'd never met a microphone he didn't like. He never met a reporter that he didn't want to talk to because as a political candidate or as an activist, quote unquote, I know that's a dirty word now. I trained myself to handle those guys and have fun with them and make fun politically and stuff like that. And if I had been in Canada, who knows, I think I'd still be in jail. And I remember DJ Timmy Turnup. He was the guy that used to go down to, and he's got the DB bike. You'll see it. He's doing a live from the beach that we were, what do they call it? When they trespass you? We were trespassed from a public beach for playing music on a beach. Can you imagine? And those days were crazy. Those videos are all still up on my channel and whatever. And DJ Timmy Turnup says, Jimmy, I just brain farted. What were we talking about?
We're talking about Timmy Turner on the beach there when you guys were getting charged for being on the beach.
Where was I talking? Where was I going before that? Sorry. This isn't very good television, is it?
No, it's good.
When the host brain farts. Oh, hang on. This will fix everything. Wait.
But now you're having a brain fart and you're asking the guy with the brain injury what we were talking about.
Oh,
So we're
well,
really
that's
fucked.
the great segue. I say, I never noticed this about you, but did you have a stroke or something? Because I've seen somebody mocking you for your eye or something. I'm like, what is eye? Oh, yeah, what the hell's eye? I never did get that story. So what's the deal on that thing? The people
Oh, yeah.
mock
No,
your
I
disability, your disfiguredness.
Yeah. No, so I used to work with people with like behavioral disabilities. It's all I've ever known what to do. Like
Yeah,
that's
it
been my
turns out
job my
we're
whole
old
life.
friends. You were hanging out at my dad's farm, and we didn't even know that we're buddies through my stepbrother. Fucking
Yeah.
Mikey Thorne, what's up?
Yeah. Yeah, man. So I used to do that, and one day, it was very typical for me to get assaulted at work. It was just like a normal day, to get spit on, to get kicked, to get bit, to get punched. That happened almost daily where I was. Worked with a lot of like Crown Ward teenagers, things like that. The one day, the one guy I was supporting, I could tell he was in a mood, and the property was like out on a big farm. So the people that lived there, they needed to be out on like a farm property because that's how intense the behaviors were, that they just couldn't live in a city. It just wouldn't work. And the one guy eloped, so he took off, and he wasn't allowed to take off. Like they actually had a fence built around the property to like keep him in his little area there. And he took off, and I went to go get him to come back, and yeah, he just smoked me in the face, got me in the right spot, knocked me out cold, and kicked me a couple times while I was out cold. Got up, went back in the house, got him in the house, everything was sorted out. Obviously there's only so much I could say due to confidentiality, and I'm literally still going through court with all of this shit.
Okay.
But yeah, that happened. And so I went home that night, and I thought, get home, have a beer, smoke a joint at that time, whatever. I figured that, that's how you deal with this crap. And I woke up the next morning, and like every day, my daughter would wake me up by coming into my room, and she's like, I'm like, hey, what's up, honey? And she's like, Dad, you're scaring me.
Your face.
And I'm like, what? She's like, and I like get up to give her a hug or whatever, and she's like, go away, you're scaring me.
Wow.
And I'm like, what the fuck? Like,
half your
weird.
face was
like,
down?
Yeah, like this whole right side of my
fuck.
face was like down to here. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. Like, obviously it still bothers me, and it's, like, we'll have a look at it now. I can show you, like, if I try to like put my facial expressions up, that's how it still is. But
Right. Wow.
it's come a long way. Like, it was down to like my chest, and obviously it just scared the shit out of her, right? Because she didn't know what it was. So I went and looked in the mirror, and
Wow.
what a shock, man.
Damn.
To go to bed and wake up and your whole
Disfigured.
right side of your face and shoulder and everything's all paralyzed. It's
Yikes.
crazy.
Fuck.
Couldn't even imagine. Yeah. I mean, how can I imagine it happened to me? But like, I don't even know how to begin to explain, what was going through my head at that time. And yeah, dude, it was a trip.
My mother,
So, I mean-
my mother crawled back to bed after having one of those, and her brother came in and looked at her and said, "What the fuck is with your face, girl?" And she had it
Yeah.
on the floor of her living room and crawled back to bed and slept it off. And her brother came to check on her or whatever, for whatever reason. She wasn't answering her phone probably, and just was like, yeah. And then she was sneaking cigarettes after she got back from the hospital, and she had like a mini, so she had a mini stroke, like a tremor afterwards when she
Yep.
was back, and she started to lose her. She says, Julia, it's like your vision starts. I know what it's like when you pass out. Your vision goes from the bottom, and it just slowly goes, and you're like trying to stay conscious and trying to not let the horizon go completely out, because then you're out.
Yeah.
She's got she's putting. A
I
cigarette
mean,
out.
I
She's putting
have
let me
done,
finish this.
like, they.
Dude, my
Oh,
mom's
sorry, go ahead.
she's having a tremor, right? And she's smoking a cigarette, and she was sneaking them. Nobody knew she was having. She puts it out. She's like, Jimmy could never handle this. It turned out like Jimmy was pretty cool. Billy's the one that didn't handle it so well. Yeah, Jimmy could never handle this, and if you get me through this, I'll never smoke another cigarette. Are you there? Okay. And then she crawled back to bed, never smoked again until, well, Terrence Davids, one of my brothers back home, T-Rude. I just smoked a cigarette with Terry. I said, you're going to die. You broke your word to God. And she was dead a couple years later, so what the hell? You don't fuck around.
Yeah.
She's got full of cancer. I think it's hereditary on her side of the family. But, yeah, dude, I don't know why I went off on that story. And I'm good at interrupting. That's one good thing. And, shit, we're $1:14 already. I don't want to keep you too long. I want to give you the out here if you need to get the kids to bed. I see it's still bright there. Holy shit, 7:15. Now, yeah, the sun's been down for well over an hour here, and you still got sunlight. That's not cool, man.
Yeah, well, it's funny you say that because my daughter, when I was like looking over there, and you're like, you're getting emotional. My kid's like looking at me, and she's like got her little stuffy in her hand already, waiting for like a hug and a kiss goodnight. But
man, I'm working on a 5-year-old for a show next week. A 5-year-old.
What's that?
I'm working on a 5-year-old Spanish kid, Dominican.
Oh, really?
Well, half and half. His father's white, and he speaks very good English, and his mother's a Latina, great chick. And I haven't had a kid on for a long time, so I'm hoping to get a 5-year-old.
That's cool, man. Yeah. That's really cool.
And then Josh Denny's coming up on the 15th.
Before I came on here with you, I just took my daughter out. We went for a ride on the Harley, went all out to Waynfleet, Port Colborne. What a time, man. Cool. I can't even explain it. You know, like she's my best friend. It's incredible. Without her, man, I wouldn't be here.
Well, but, you're a good father and a good man, and I appreciate you. Give my love to the wife and tell her how much I appreciate her role in all of this, because I know there's no great men without great or strong women behind them doing what they need to do to make us great. You know, they don't want that. And you know what? I appreciate you saying I never wanted the limelight. It's like Bigger never wanted Bigger's relishing it and making some good business decisions out of it too. And normally you would think I would be that guy. Just go straight to the front of the line. Build a YouTube channel. I could be like huge right now if I had taken that really, well, it wasn't popular narrative, but you know, people really latched onto you. And I've watched you. I've been a broadcaster forever trying to get my name in the newspaper as a 10-time political candidate. And Rob Primo comes out of nowhere. And do you have any monetized accounts? Are you making money off anything? Because Twitter, you should be getting close, right? Like Marty up north, he's got 80,000 Twitter followers, and he said he's making $1,200 a month. I'm like, what? I'm an eighth of the way there. I could be making it. How are you fucking open a Stripe account?
Yeah.
Because I had one tweet go a little viral.
No, man. You know what? I wish I could say that I had a monetized account. I don't, though. But the thing is
I put your link to donate in the show description just in case you want to send them some dough.
Awesome. What I was going to say though, Jim, is I find as soon as you cross out of the boundaries, they make it so it's impossible to make money. And for me, my integrity and my message and what I stand for has always been more important than that. And what I'm trying to say is, like, without naming people, because whatever, it doesn't make a difference. But like, if I wanted to go on, you know, YouTube and keep going on about, did you see what Pierre Poilievre said today in the House of Commons? It was incredible. And Justin Trudeau fired back with, whoa, Diagolon. And it was crazy. It's unbelievable what's going on in the House of Commons. Like,
dude, that was you 2 months ago. What are you talking about? Yeah. And you know what I will say about Karima? She's gotten really good at making her post less bias looking. Like when she posts stuff now, you can't actually know what side of it she falls on. And I'm glad you brought that up, because I think that's so important and so gone from media today. You know by the letters on their microphone who's paying their check and what narrative they're going to espouse. And then same on the right, you know, to a certain extent. And then you've got, you know, well, whatever. I watch Twitter and YouTube mostly for my news now. You know what I mean? But anyways.
Yeah. I mean, Karima, even she, you know, when she started going to this stuff, I remember she had like a little bit of a feud with the conservatives. And I could tell that her reporting was a little bit more biased towards them. And I notice now that she'll go to like a Pierre Polyev rally, and she'll like ask a question, report on what's going on, and give no opinion. And the same thing with the liberals, like she'll show up at something they're doing or whatever, and it's the same reporting. And then there's me like, oh man, if I could get a second with one of these weasels to ask this, I would do it. Why isn't she whatever, But it's like, no, like she's treating everybody the exact same. She's doing what she should be doing. She's not just pinning certain people in the corner and
getting a gotcha moment.
Exactly.
Yeah, and Primo has been very good at the gotcha moments, man. You got pictures with leaders of parties that should never want to be affiliated with a guy like you, a hateful, anti-fascist bigot. No.
Bigot, yes.
Fascist, not anti-fascist. Oh, shit.
Yeah, all those
the
anti-fascist. I'm basically what I
White
really am is a
adjacent.
2020. Yeah, I'm like a 2023 terrorist.
And fat. Don't forget fat.
And fat. Fat, one-eyed, lazy terrorist, far-right, Diagolon affiliated, tranny-hating son of a gun.
Diagolon
like that.
forever. Hashtag
That's
shit,
right.
man. So, yeah, I got a back channel. I hope Jeremy works out for me. I see that Lord Freedom had Owen Schroyer on the other day. I think that's so cool. And he pulled it off pretty well.
Yeah.
I got a lot of time for Mark and their humor and their creative skills and stuff like that. Actually, Mark sent me a message like, dude, I'm down in Punta Cana. I know you're the guy. Where do we go? I'm like, dude, you're 5 hours away from me. I got no clue, but here's your guy. Here's your connect.
Yeah.
He knows everyone. If you need anything, this is your guy. Mario Dragos, you're on the clock. You owe me an interview. Baby. I almost said bitch. I would never call that guy a bitch. Good guy. Wow, he's blowing up on the South Coast. Punta Cana. He'll coming up next. Josh Denny's coming up on the May 15th. I know we shared a screen with him one time, I think. Or was that Pat Dixon? Pat Dixon. Yeah, maybe it was. I thought, yeah. Josh Denny. He's coming up on the 15th. And then, my next couple Thursday nights are open. So if you got somebody that will squeeze in there,
yeah,
I'll
find someone for you.
The Diagolon bat signal out in the sky into the ether for Uncle Jimbo, and bring me a good interview. And thank you so much, my brother, because...
Have you ever talked to Zach? Do you know who Zach Schmidt is? He'd be a good guy for you to talk to. He's well-spoken and very friends with the whole Diagolon community. He's like a podcaster and that kind of stuff,
My
too.
experience with Rob Primo, when he asks me that question, to be honest with you, I hate that, is like you say to me, hey, have you ever heard of, who's the guy that ran across the country there, the vet?
James Top.
Yeah, you ever heard of James Top? I'm like, no, can you get him for me? You're like, yeah, let me work on it. Next thing you know, Primo's talking to James Top, and Jimmy's in the dust. And he's like, oh, I should have gave it to you. I fucked it up, and you would have been better. I'm like, yes, Rob. Primo. I would have been better. Fuck.
I know.
Anyways, are you doing more podcasts? What are you doing now? Because I don't see you doing the scream down TikToks and look at this guy said this and exactly what you were just saying. I'm like, what the fuck? That was you 2 months ago. Like,
you know what,
fuck,
man? I
are
haven't
you
been at all, but I'm gonna get back. I'm gonna get back into it. I can't just stop. It's like I needed to shut everything down and shut everything. He needs one. I needed to shut everything down and everything
I don't have
out
anyone.
for a while.
When you got kicked out earlier, I told everyone this is Rob's hourglass, but because he was late, I drank a quarter of it, so I only had, rather than have a full drink when we started, I was down to 3/4. So your hourglass got cut down, but time's up.
Well, if you're a Leafs fan, you might need to get
on.
another drink.
Yeah, the game's
You
on
might need
tonight,
to get yourself a drink, buddy.
And Gavin's live right now. I'm a half an hour done, so I think I'm going to go down and sit with my Russian father, George. Oh, my God. If you ever come to Sicily, you have to stop into George's Oasis Bar. He's an 83-year-old Russian, Brazilian American. He's Russian.
Awesome.
And just the wisest guy you've ever met. So I'm going to go down. I always, coming off a show like this, I'm always amped. Any show that I do, I'm always amped, like super, like, whoosh. Anyways,
yeah.
I'm getting sidetracked. But thank you, because, like, this is more than any work that I've done recently. This conversation is more of what I want to do. It's more about who is that guy? If he gets emotional because he goes down a road, great. He's, confiding in me at a level that he's like, I never really told anybody this before, and I don't have to worry about calling you a fag or a fat fuck or anything like that.
No, yeah.
Because, if you haven't heard from me in a while, the first text is, hey, you big homo. Doesn't,
exactly.
It's not meant as a slur. It's funny, and it's been in my vocabulary since I've been 12. I don't know, when gay was a thing. Everything was gay when you were a kid. Oh, that's gay.
Yep.
It didn't mean...
And
we knew what gay was.
Now. Now things are actually gay.
Yeah. So thank you for giving me the space and the familiarity and the access to you to explore, more of what I want to do, because I think this is, and I don't get picked up as a guest very often. If anyone ever called me and said, hey, would you like to be on my show? I'm like, damn straight. As a guest, it's fun. Because you can pick your spots and you got time to write your things down and you can come back with quips. Though they seem like quips, but they're prepared because you've had minutes to think about it. Here you don't get that, right?
Yep.
But I'd also like to do like a community Zoom, because if we got Thorne on here and Jesse and just, my father would never come on, but we could, we get Freedom on, and we get, this guy.
Oh, yeah.
And then the next thing you're going, Billy Harper? What the hell was it? He was, what the, I go, yeah, from Eastdale, dude. Come on. Like, I didn't go there, but, so thank you for that.
You know what you should do one time? Something that I wanted to do that I couldn't do because I'm just not good enough, and you're talented, is one time to do a interview like this with me, Cullen, Alicia, Shandor, Dennis. How cool would that be? Like all the people that start to finish from Niagara. It'd be like a 4-hour thing, and just have everybody jump in, and I think that'd be really cool. I talked to Alicia about it for a long time, and I was like, we got to do it. And I was like, I'll get Jim to moderate it or whatever, but you should just do it.
I'll just be the host.
But the thing that was stopping Alicia was that her shit wasn't done, and now it is.
And
I believe.
She just talking to her privately the other day, and I can share this because it's no big, huge secret now, I guess. She's got shit to talk about now. Like, she's got some really cool shit going on down here, man. And I don't want to drop the hammer on it, but my brother's fighting cancer at home. And he came here after, his radiation was done, and they blew the shit out of his colon, right, to try and get this tumor that was growing. And he regrets every decision he's ever made in traditional medicine. And my mother took it all too. And she said, we watched Sam Prantera go down. And she's like, I'm not going to go like that. Quantity over quality over quantity. She always said the system just wants to keep you alive a little bit, kill you slowly for the family to keep you around. No, I hope I never have to make that decision. I'm on my father's side of the equation. His mother had cancer, but I think my dad will live to 100 in really bad health and just be a bitchier and bitchier old man as he gets older. And Mom always said, he'll probably smoke and drink until he's 100. And Mom was dead at 61, so she's half right. But so I'd like to get
cheers
that.
to your dad, because your dad is a
legend.
He's a very good man who takes care of his family and people around him. I can say that about your dad. And I was hanging out around that place when I was going through some rough years of my life. And I feel bad for some of the shit that I've seen him put up with, just like me and my drunk friends when we were whatever. But, he never kicked us out, and he never, he made sure we were good and stuff like that.
Just keep in mind that Uncle Jimbo paved the way for you, because he'd seen that shit all before. Mudsy on 6 hits of window pane, fucking staring up at my mom in the passed out in the garden, going, I think I see an angel. What, Mudsy, you're tripping on acid, dude. Get him out of there. Oh, Tom, somebody take Tom home. She's never talked like that.
Yeah.
Anyways, brother, I love you. Thank you for the time.
Yeah, I love you too, man.
Let's get caught up again too. So we got.
I was just gonna say we should do it again sometime.
I want to know how you're coming along with the book. I think you should write one. I know it's not easy. I got one that needs to come out this year. Commission coach. We'll book a Freedom group call. And then we'll do I was just talking to Mike Mazzolino today. God rest his soul. He's still alive. One of my favorite Italian guys ever on this planet. I don't know why I had to, qualify by saying Italian, but maybe because I'm talking and it suddenly hit me, it would be cool to get Bilko and Leo DeFabio and Primo and Thorne and, a bunch of Bradley Sheehan. And I can only think of boys that I want to hang out with. Hard to believe. No homo. Yeah, so that'd be good, man. So, keep your goals in front of you. If I could just remind you, I think that book thing, I think you really got things there, and you only got to just start keeping receipts. Shandor could probably really help you with that. If you decided that you want to do it, he could help you organize the data. And then fucking AI can write the shit, man. I can't even believe what that shit's doing now. So we got lots more to talk about, but I want to respect you. It's an hour and a half. It just hit 1:30. 90 minutes. Like that, and we didn't even talk politics hardly at all. Just our frustration with it. You wouldn't even know who we're voting for in this conversation. You know what I mean? So that was a pretty good example, my brother. I'm going to send this over to Gavin McInnes and say, I'll give you a show a month like this if you provide me the interviews.
Yeah, man, you would be wicked on that network. You should make it happen.
Yeah, and I've kind of gone away from it because I'm trying to survive down here, and selling real estate, even as a trained realtor down here, has been kind of difficult. And you know what? Left to my own devices, I'm a hermit. I'm right here.
Yep.
And I'm not out drinking. And I went to my first card game this week.
That's awesome.
Euchre with all like expats, and you pay 200 pesos and 100 pesos for the lone hand guy. And my buddy he's from Manchester. He's in town for 8 weeks, just came in from Thailand. He this is his second time playing euchre. He put his 100 down for the loaner hand, and he took home 1,600 pesos, like almost $40. He won. Cool. He got all the loaners.
Nice.
So I've been getting out a little bit, but we got more to talk about, and I appreciate your time tonight. Give my best to the family. And is there anything you want to say on the way out, my friend?
No, just, everybody really just don't give up and make sure you're focused on what's important. We can't, we got to work on what's going on in our own homes and our own communities, and obviously we can't ignore what's going on, but, that's how we're going to bring about change is, doing that. And if you're white, go make a lot of babies.
With white people.
White people. Hey, white folks. Things are not a joke. All those things people were talking about, you better start making a lot of people.
Oh, my God. I just did a nose bubble. Oh, how embarrassing. Oh, my God. I hope they capture that and put it in slow motion. I'll do it. Don't worry. Oh, my God.
Oh,
good one, man.
All right, brother. I will talk to you later. But throw that one
ass.
up. That'll get you some attention to the interview.
Especially the nose bubble. Oh my God! Blow your nose.
Go make babies, white people.
You know what? I'm working on it. I'm only 55. I got some time left to find a good girl. All right, Primo.
All right, brother. I gotta get out of here. We'll talk soon.
An hour and a half. That's long enough. No, you hang up. No, you. No, you hang up. Rob, no, you. Oh. I mean me. I didn't mean you. Fucking can't believe I just blew a nose bubble. That was embarrassing. Well, Primo, nice job, man. I really appreciate the time. I say that too much. It's okay. All right, let me see here. I'll draw you off this screen over here and just show you the links on the way out over here. Okay? This is Primo on the twatter. What's he got? Only 17,000. Okay, well, you're not making any money on that. You need 80. And then he's over here on the YouTube, 3,000 subs. You're not making shit off that. Fake book, I don't even know how you make money off that. He's got, 900 friends. That's embarrassing. Shit. 60,000 followers on Insta. It's probably his fourth account. There's nothing here. Oh, okay. When's this? Fucking put a shirt on. What's your obsession with nudity? Kid toucher. Where's the date on this? Oh, this is a year old, almost. What the fuck? So he's not doing shit on there. Don't give me your tizzy ent take on things, you bearded fucking half-naked man. And then here he is on TikTok. And I know he won't watch this, so this is kind of the cool part of doing the Jim Fannin show, that when my guest is gone, I can just trash the shit out of them because they'd never watch the end. It's not, you think like Rob's on his phone right now going, checking the Facebook Live going, oh my God, there's two. I got two. Yeah, the Jim Fannin. It was private for a long time. I changed to the privacy as we were talking, but I have two whole people watching me live right now. Hi, Facebook. Hi, Mom and Dad. My dad doesn't watch my stuff. Never. He's never seen anything that I do. Or listened to it, even when I was on the radio. I tried, but he's just not down with it, which is cool. Jim Fannin show. Let's see. We got any watchers over here? I don't see any. It says live. That's good. And then Restream says I got 71. So Twitter is blowing me up, obviously, because Primo's got a decent account, and he probably retweeted it because I don't get that type of traffic on Twitter. I'm starting to get a little bit more now that I hit 10K. Shimelli Jim. I'm not in Puerto Rico, bro. Sasua. I hope all the dogs were okay. Maria _Leah. You have to follow her. Mental libtard. Okay, what was I doing? Was I doing something? I think I was signing out. Peace, love, hug your neighbor, and I am out. All that time broadcasting, and now I get a LinkedIn message, go Leaf go? That sucks. You suck, Turner.